TA Global for our very first Coaches Corner, as you can see in the War Room, aka Sunroom. Hey, so this is really exciting because this is our first opportunity to really bring to you our Coaches Corner. So we get a ton of questions related to practical application. How do you use these tools? How do you solve for the problems like clients staying longer, or closing a sale, or how do I keep my clients motivated and engaged? And there's a lot of science behind what we do and why we do it. We'll touch on a little bit of the science, but really for the purposes of this platform here on YouTube, we really want to be able to use this as a two-way street to receive questions, provide solutions, but also make it super simple for our audience to connect the dots and really turn education into application. So with that, I want to talk about just some overarching problems and solutions. So you may be brand new to the industry. This could be something that you just got into, or you're 10, 20 years in. And so some of this may be very familiar, but just high level, why we develop this content, still true today. Owners and operators. So if you work in a gym, this would be the people that basically employ you or own the gym franchise or gym chain. They told us, PTA Global, that trainers really struggle with communicating with members. And we understand that a lot of people, they learn their communication growing up from a lot of different areas, right? So from their mom and dad, from friends, from their environment, and most don't have high-level interpersonal skills. If they do, it was usually acquired through sports, athletics, things like that. And so, so that was one of the biggest challenges. They just can't connect and communicate with members. The other thing is the ability to sell. We know that communication is vital in the important to connect, emotionally engage, assess wants and needs, and then provide those solutions in a way that is very consistent, congruent, and really is effective more often than not. So, so that's what we would term kind of sell/solutions. And then the experience, right? So deliver a client experience, not just a workout, right? So it said that anybody can make somebody tired, right? But a real coach can make somebody better. Right, so we want to see, okay, what does that experience look like to where they're referring their friends, their family, everybody, just like they had just saw the world's best movie, right? You're referring everybody, you're putting it on Facebook. So what does that experience look like? So we want to be able to sharpen up a little bit of some very specific things that we can do to solve for that gap. On the flip side, trainers, consistent pangs are basically their problems. They felt like they were being pushed to sell, right? Now, most of you on this call are in a for-profit arena. In other words, like you work for a gym chain that needs to make money because they need to build gyms and have amenities and keep the lights on for their employees and pay payroll and all those things. It's not necessarily government funded, or maybe a recreation center that is not necessarily for profit. And so you may not experience that, but for the majority of you watching this today, you understand what that sounds like, right? It's this guy. Hey, what you got coming in? You heard that? Right? So so that level of just, hey dude, come on, that's noise, and I'm not down with that. I got into this to change and save lives, and I'm not with this whole like salesy thing. And the good news is you're in a great space. Right now, you're in a great space to be able to effectively change lives and make great money with some solution-based selling. So we'll talk about how to do that to make sure that you feel good and make sure that your customer feels good in that entire process. Movement assessment. So really understanding why we even do movement assessments was one. The other is, okay, well, now I've done this assessment. I know, the 32-point inspection of everything that's going wrong with my client. Now what I do, right? So how do I connect the dots and really bring these things to life in my program design? That was another challenge. And the last is, how do I develop exercise programs? You might call this periodization, right? Where we're able to take program design and actually match it individual, right? Because this is personal training. Right, we're actually training at a personal level, and whether you're in a small group, large group, at the end of the day, human beings want to feel individualized, right? And so how do we develop these exercise programs, not just a workout, but an individualized exercise program that emotionally matches and attaches exercise to the human being, okay? So those are the things high level that we're gonna try to solve through our content, through our systems, sciences, and tools. We're going to keep this very specific in 3 key categories, okay? Gaining clients. I can't tell you how many times I hear from trainers, hey, I need more clients. Hey, I need more clients. In many cases, it may be because your clients aren't staying. In some cases, you're just starting out with your business, so it's not like you've had 30 clients to begin with, and you really do need to acquire clients. How do we get you to do that faster? Because you don't have a year and a half to gain the clients that you need to make rent, right? So how do we get you to do that fast, effectively, and make sure that it's a win-win for all, okay? There's really 3 specific categories, and so I'll walk you through these 3 categories in the segments to come. Today, this is really just to tee up some of the framework of what we'll be diving in deep as we go into these segments going forward. The 3 categories are going to be acquiring clients from your gym, from your clients, and then from your community. Okay, so if you work at a gym or you work at a studio, either way, how do I maximize my ability to get clients from that gym or that space? Clients, if you're existing training clients, okay, how do I ensure that my clients are referring people consistently to me, thus building my book of business, right? So we'll dive in deep to that. And then also your community, right? How do you own a 3-mile square radius of your facility? How do you connect and strategically partner with professionals and little things that you can do to really build your book of business very, very fast, as well as build your credibility for years and years and years to come. So we'll dive into those 3 categories as far as how to acquire more clients faster or gain clients. So here's your client funnel. I want you to think of, you can get things from the internet, things from referral, things from your gym. So we're going to put a lot of different things in this funnel right here, okay, right here. So we're going to put a lot of different things in this funnel. And so then you get to figure out, okay, you know what is, I work at a studio and I just do group training, so that doesn't necessarily jive to me. But this other thing here actually does. Right? And so it really resonates with me, and so I'm going to latch on to that. Cool, awesome. Again, we're talking about massive industry with a lot of different niches, a lot of different skill sets, a lot of different demographics, and so a lot of this is what we used to call the Bengay approach, right? Apply where needed. So any of you guys that have actually used Bengay, you understand that used to be kind of the old adage is, hey, just apply where needed. And so this is going to be our Bengay approach where, hey, if it doesn't apply, let it fly, but cling on to the things that really drive the business for you. Training clients, our second category. So we're not going to get so caught up in the anatomy, the physiology. You know, we're not trying to help you rebuild a carburetor, right? We're just helping you to drive a car for a lot longer, have a heck of a good time, and making sure that everybody wants to be along for that ride, right? That's what we're really striving for when we're talking about training clients. So the 2 key categories here, we're going to talk about the experience, and that's going to be a lot of different things, right? Because emotionally, our experience comes from so many different areas, right? From our engagement and connection to our entertainment value within the session to listening quality. There's so many different aspects of what makes a great personal training session. So we're going to talk about those things. We're also going to talk about program design and development. We're not going to get so into, hey, here's the stuff not to do in program design. We're going to talk about, here's some best practice that more often than not, the top 10, top 20% trainers in this industry right now making the most money, having the most impact, and having the most influence, this is what they're doing consistently. Okay, so again, giving you those best practices and tying in everything we do to the systems, sciences, and tools that make this reproducible for you, no matter if you're year 1 or year 21. Okay? The third category, dive in deep, is going to be retaining clients. Okay, and so this is really where the rubber meets the road. Right? For us, our value always has to outweigh our clients' expectations. So I'll let that sink in. So if you loan me $1, and every single time you loan me $1, I'm like, hey, I got you $2. Do you think you're ever going to stop lending me money? Why would you? Why in the world would you stop lending money if you get double your return on investment every single time? So that's what you think about. If you charge $50 right now, what does that $100 per hour experience look like, feel like, sound like? And how does it resonate emotionally in what happens in that person's life outside of the session? That is our value. So we categorize that really in the results, the experience, and ultimately the client's belief. It's not our belief in ourselves, right? It's not, well, I'm so great, I have so many certifications, and man, I got more degrees than the Texas summer. Bad dad joke, sorry, but I do live in Texas, so it's applicable. So the other end of it is, okay, our client comes in with these unrealistic expectations. They want to lose 20 pounds in a week. What is our ownership in that? To not prove them wrong, but to hear them out, validate their sense of urgency for reaching those goals, but also redirect them in a way that doesn't make them feel defensive, right? Those are the communication skills that we're going to walk through, and it's the little things that add up to the big things. I used to tell my team, it's the dimes that add up to dollars. You want to make more money, but many times you're not willing to do the things that allow you to make that money, or not doing those things consistently enough. Okay? So we're going to walk through those steps of how to really maximize your impact and really, really, really be able to effectively gain, train, and retain clients for years to come. So a couple of things that we'll always try to kind of tie into are tools, basically the tools that we're going to use and the ways to use them. So it's not just about giving you a hammer and saying, hey, go build a house. It's how to effectively use them, right? It's how to look at the blueprint of your personal training business, which tools to use when, how, and why. And so we're going to walk through and try to connect the dots in a lot of those things. Okay. Now you can't see because my video is blocking the screen here, and I'm a rookie here, so I don't know how to move this around. But basically, one of my favorite acronyms for system, if you want to write this down, is save yourself some time, energy, and money. And I heard that from a friend a long time ago, and it just stuck with me. Man, I'm either working harder or working smarter, and if I'm a smart trainer, like every single one of you that are watching this, because you're trying to find everything you can to get better and better serve your clients and keep your edge. You're creating systems left and right. If you are in a management and leadership role, whether you have 3 trainers underneath you or 3,000 trainers underneath you, to create systems that allow other people to be successful around you, right? Whether they are day 1 or year 10. Doesn't matter. How do you apply these systems in a repeatable fashion? Save yourself some time, energy, and money. Okay, so we're going to try to find ways to connect the dots, and then you can take this and apply it to a system that works really well for you, because you know your business. Okay, we're just going to educate, we're going to inspire, we're going to motivate, and we're going to try to connect some of the dots to make it really easy to win and hard to lose. That's the goal. All right, so here I want you to think about education versus application, right? So in my mind, right, when we think about the goal, right, of education, okay? So education, just a few things. Obviously, you know, when we're educated, we are going to be able to speak to whatever we're trying to communicate with authenticity, with integrity, and with a sense of confidence. Okay, and that would tie back into our, you know, kind of our levels of primacy, right? That primacy effect where we basically have that first impression. Okay, so you need to be able to be confident, have integrity about what you're saying, and really speak to that in a way that your client is going to understand. So I would say that that's kind of the first out of the 3, right? Like, why is education important? Okay, so that's kind of our first why. Okay, so our second why So when we talk about education, if education doesn't actually translate into application, in other words, like you get it up here, but you can't actually do anything with it, right? Then it's not really useful, right? So maybe it's inspired temporarily, maybe you feel really good about it, but unless you can help other people somehow make more money, have more confidence, be more effective in whatever their role is, and we'll speak to the industry that we're in, which is the fitness industry. If they're a more successful trainer because of you, because of the education and application you've given, then that's going to help, right? So that's kind of the second why would be our success. And again, the pen on this is my finger, so it's not super fancy. I promise my handwriting isn't quite this bad, but it's actually pretty close. Okay, so that's kind of our first thing. Okay, so we go back to, okay, why is education important? It has to yield success for ourselves and our others. There has to be application, there has to be tangible things. Okay, the other thing we have to remember between education and application is learning. And I don't mean just learning like Sesame Street. I mean how people learn, right? How are we communicating in a way, and I know you can't see this very well, I'm sorry, this is about as good as my computer screen is going to get right now. But if you're taking notes, hopefully you are, it says learning, and I promise it's spelled right, it looks weird, but basically our ability to understand how other people learn best, get feedback on that, and then reproduce that outcome. Okay, I'm going to slow down here in hopes that this will help us. All right, so we think about the learner, we think about there's auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. So as you're looking at this, you're hearing this audible, right? You're looking at some words, there's some visual, right? And unfortunately, you have to look at my face as well, so you can see my mannerisms and all those things, but it helps to bridge the connection and to know that it's not just a talking head, some guy. You actually know, who you're getting this information from. But the other is kinesthetic. You have to be able to take what you're learning and apply it immediately, and not be scared that you're going to fail. Fail forward. The first time you threw a baseball, it probably didn't look like the 1,000th time that you threw a baseball. The first time you took a jump shot probably didn't look and feel like year 10. It takes time to not only get good at something, but build confidence behind that, right? If you're not good at something, you're not going to be confident at it. If you're not going to be confident at it, it's going to show. And so that's a flywheel, because if you're not confident, you're not going to be effective. If you're not going to be effective, then if you're not going to be confident, so on and so on, right? The cycle repeats. And so with learning, we have to cater to the auditory. Did they hear it? Okay, the visual, do they see it? And 3, do they feel it? Do they feel it? And we'll talk about, again, ways that we can really expand upon this and dive in deep. But I just want to take you through these 3 different areas that we're going to try to touch on in these series of how to engage education versus application using why it's important, so communicating the essence of why we're learning what we're learning. How is it going to help us to be successful? And then how are we going to communicate this in a way that we understand and embrace, but also others understand and embrace? So hopefully that makes sense. So for many of you, you may be seeing this following a live event, a live workshop. So for many of you, you're probably hands-on, right? So you're like, hey, this is great. I love the coaching. I'm going to provide feedback. I'm going to give you some things that I would love to hear talked about, Israel, in these future series. But I'd also like to be able to do something with this hands-on, because unfortunately the one caveat to this medium is we can't actually role play in person, back and forth, back and forth. There's not an even exchange of pass, fail, win, fail, win. And eventually you get it, and now it's habit, right? There's not that rigor. There's not that essence. So a lot of it is going to be on you to practice these things with your peers, maybe with your spouse, with your kids, and then provide that feedback and let us know how it's going. But if you need to augment what you're learning, go to ptaglobal.com, go to events, and look at some of the live events that we're putting on, because this is going to be a huge part of how do I take education but actually make it applicable so I can take it with me and build my book of business. That is the end goal. So I want to be very clear about that. So today's segment, I want to thank you so much for listening. Again, this is very topical in essence of teeing this off of what we're going to be talking about around gain, train, and retain clients, solving your problems. And remember, this is an even exchange. If you ping us on Facebook, ping us on YouTube, and you're following us and subscribing to these things and asking questions, just know that those will be on the top of the docket on how do I gain, train, and retain. Those are going to be subjects that we tackle for you. So your input guides what we do and how we do it and the specific things we approach. So it's freedom within the framework. All right. So with that, thank you so much. Lead, inspire, change lives. And thanks so much from PTA Global and myself, Israel Allen.